Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Replay Remember Me. Today we will start with Antoine's Journal Chapter 1. Antoine's Journal is an interactive web page, and you can exit it with a link in the description. There are several languages available based on your location's IP address. But you can change that by adding the last two letters in the address line and replace it with the usual country code of your preferred language. Antoine's journal is covering several years in the life of Memrise founder Antoine. The journal is divided into 5 chapters, so the next 5 episodes will share this as well. In our last episode, we met Antoine at the beginning of his adult life in San Francisco and watched him as he gets inspired by different things and events. And Molly, of course. We witnessed the beginning of the sensation engine and the founding of Memrise. With this in mind, we are now ready to follow his path through future history. The following chapter is called The Trigger and covers the years from 2013 to 2016.
In 2013, it is safe to say that memories are the last private and intimate pieces of ourselves that haven't been uploaded to social media for others to see. Every day, everything we see, hear, touch and smell is stored in real time in our brains. Our memories define who we are. In 2084, this final barrier has been brought down by Memrise, a Paris-based corporation and their brain implant known as Sensen. Through this Sensen, Memrise owns the most intimate and personal data of 99% of the population. Citizens are aware of Memrise's control but are willing to accept it because of the pleasure that memory sharing and deletion has to offer. However, there are a small number of activists who choose to fight against Memrise. They are known as errorists. The year is 1984. This journal plots the birth of Memrise, a company founded on the simple principle of empathy and understanding, whose goal was always to bring people together and bridge the boundaries and differences that language impose on us. In this, the new technology gold rush, information is power. But by putting power in the wrong hands and despite the best intentions, things can go horribly wrong. This is the journal of Antoine Cartier-Wells, hacker, chess player, social entrepreneur, and founder of Memrise. You have found it because you use the internet and live in a world where social media sharing and information consumption is a way of life. Welcome to your world.
And in the most anticipated rematch in chess history, Deep Blue beat world champion Garry Kasparov 3.5 to 2.5. It's 256 processors capable of analysing over 200 million moves per second.
The first adult mammal ever to be successfully cloned. It sparked debates the world over about the
top websites for 1998. The tiny startup Google has moved to permanent offices in Palo Alto and is currently in advanced talks for a fresh round of venture.
So it begins, my adventure to the new world. Perhaps a few hundred years late to be an original explorer, but maybe I can be an Explorer 2.0.
Promise you'll remember me?
Tonight a revelation. Molly took me to see a lecture by Bruce Sterling, the guy who invented SPIMES. He wrote a great novel with William Gibson called The Difference Engine, about the first computer based on a text saloon way back in the 19th century. How little distance we have come since. Warp, weft, on and off, 1, 2, dot, dash. A little note here from my side. Both Bruce Sterling and William Gibson are science fiction writers and were defining the cyberpunk genre. Gibson wrote the famous Neuromancer novel and Johnny Mnemonic, which was later adapted as a film with Keanu Reeves. My thoughts turned to work. What is it I came here to do? Not look at silly pictures of people's dogs or kids all the day, that's for sure. But the money is insane, always the money. What emotional need lies behind the urge to share all these images, all these memories? This desire to share, to communicate, is what interests me. First 2 months has been my first real holiday from myself. But now it creeps back. The memories, everything I have read or seen, so mixed up. I can't tell what was mine or somebody else's stolen dreams and memories that fill me up and drive me crazy. Still, I should be used to this. I found ways of dimming the voices, but they are impermanent and short-lived, often followed by a cursed hangover. Reread Neil Stephenson's Cryptonomicon. The world has always craved connectivity. Walls connect as do roads. The first digital connection came underwater in the 19th century when we laid the first telegraphic cabling across the Atlantic. Ones and zeros. The telegraph, same technology as the apps we use today. The world is covering in cabling, fiber optics, bandwidth. The ownership of this cabling, and not the information it carries, is where the money is. At some point, Memrise will have to control the means of delivery, the infrastructure that will need to be created in order to deliver our products. Information, much less knowledge, doesn't transmit itself through thin air. Well, it does, but not for nothing. This is for me the real 2.0 thinking.
Pure geek hacking was always for the sake of it, for the purity of doing it. It's what I was meant to do. If somebody can tell you I was there, well, I didn't do it right. Impulse hacks, too. Hey, we were kids, right? If I see something, it's right there, I'll hack it. Now, when you grow up and get more organized about the world, you can concentrate and target something over time and with other people. It's more tricky, easier to fail. But then you can really achieve something. Time, consciousness, and collaboration. Now, that's taking hacking to a new level.
Antoine receives an email from Anonymous. Check out this article from MRC Cognition Brain Sciences Unit at Cambridge. Yeah, I hacked it. It's amazing. They talk to a patient in coma using magnetic imaging scans measuring the surge of blood flow that accompanies neural activity. Now that's proper data mining. New England Journal of Medicine wrote about it a few months ago, but they remarked on the electrical signatures that accompany same neural activity. If you could correlate both, then communication becomes mappable. By the way, maybe you remember the article about the man in coma I provided to you in the last episode. This was happened in 2012. You can still watch the last episode and download the article if you want. As we experienced in the last episode, Antoine had a loose connection to underground groups, but more for the sake of Molly than for his own interest.
Just a prototype, so be patient. I'm going to ask you some questions.
First batch of sensors arrived today from laboratory. Expensive, but worth it. Can't wait to test the software. Stayed up till 3 AM as I took Molly through a list of simple question-answer responses. Very slow work, as software device is very rudimentary. Yes, no, good, bad, funny, sad. And that took 2 hours. Cross-checking, recording 50 readings within a micron of similarity before moving on and then feeding in a randomized control question. Basically took all night. At last, a project I can work on. If we take the minute but readable heat changes that take place with a thought, I can make an app that communicates simple color-coded messages directly from the brain. A mind-reading app basically, little more than a tarot reading gimmick at this point. but the possibilities. In the future, we can map this empathy circuit in the brain via electricity or even vibrating frequency, giving grammar to our heat and temperature readings.
Just answer. The sensory engine will map your responses and build up an emotional response profile.
This could take a while.
It has to start with simple, predictable question-answer. Sex.
Death.
E4 to C5.
Sicilian defend.
Prayer.
Error.
Funeral.
Grandmother.
Sorry.
These new quartz ceramic heat sensors are so finely tuned they can pick up at least 10 more discernible variations of brain activity. The more these develop, the bigger our language will get. We grow exponentially with this technology, but for now we have limited control over it.
Hey Antoine, it's Molly. It was really cool to come over last night and be your guinea pig. I mean, functional magnetic resonance scanning is far the fuck out. And all your gadgets rock. Mega geek. Call me. I want in. Hey, meet me on the corner of Jones and O'Farrell, 10 o'clock. My turn to impress. If you got a clean shirt, wear it. Ouch and out.
Here we can see some pictures of Antoine. Molly gave me the first ring she made for my sensation engine. I can fit the sensor inside and it will look just like a normal ring, all silver reflections and sci-fi angles. Very cool, but temperamental, so I'm sticking with a headset for now. In the future I can imagine implants, but that's inhuman, right? To be able to read the ACC, the anterior cingulate, is how to understand how we respond to pain, our own, and that witnessed in others. And we can do this now. The ACC triggers the AI, the anterior insula, which literally lights up when pain is encountered. In strictly neurological terms, it defines pain. From waterboarding to mass shootings, this thing lights up like a Christmas tree, an emotional lighthouse. The amygdala is a part of the brain that regulates emotional learning. And what is emotional learning if not the interpretation of memory?
In summary, there is much evidence to associate the amygdala with emotion and with learning about emotionally significant events. It is involved in a wide variety of emotional responses, including responding to linguistic threat, facial and vocal expressions of emotion, memory of emotional events, and even simply responding to pleasant and aversive stimuli, including music. Of the amygdala in emotion is overwhelming, which only becomes fully apparent when a patient is observed in real-life situations, with all their complex social and emotional interactions, rather than in the more controlled environment of the psychological laboratory. The amygdala is implicated in a huge array of mental disorders. These include schizophrenia, depression, generalized anxiety disorders. It has one of the densest collections of benzodiazepine responds selectively to anti-anxiety drugs such as diazepam, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. It is also thought to be vitally important in the development and maintenance of drug abuse.
My aim is for the next gen of sensor rings to have Wi-Fi and transmit moisture readings as well as temperature remotely to the software engine. Currently making great strides in my research with my emotive Epoch headset.
High levels of stress and low-level anger. May I suggest some music? Hungry, and that new pizza place on the corner has just opened up. Let's go.
My brain says hungry. It says sweet. My memory of sweet things flashes while I heat moisture recognition pads, creme brulee and pain au chocolat. The geotech database on my computer suggests 3 local outlets for these products. Simple and crass it may be, but this is a beginning. From hunger to taste to product, all through mapping of brain function. The road ahead is mind-boggling. If the sensation engine could map all of our fears and desires, track our emotions and communicate them, give us a self-knowledge of what our body and mind are telling us, at least we will have the opportunity to change. It could match up desire with desire, cancel fear with happiness. It would be like linear programming for emotion, for the soul.
Time for laughter practice. 5 minutes a day makes Molly a happy girl. So let's start. Then we can find out where to buy those new trainers. A long walk down to the market will smooth out today's weekend anxiety. And then lunch. Let me see what's good. Sushi?
That's it for today, guys. We witnessed how Antoine's idea of the sensation engine slowly comes to life. He created a bunch of first tests to spot particular regions in the brain. Within the technical restrictions, he was adding a headset to his software, and the sensing emerges to a usable prototype. If you are new to this channel, please let me make one note at the end. The background of the series is to collect money for the fight against Alzheimer's disease. For more information, please check out the first episode or check out cashformemory.org. You can also support us on Patreon. Please subscribe and share this. I'm looking forward that you will join me next time, when unpredictable events will happen that will change Antoine and maybe history forever. As some of you might already know, there were some Easter eggs hidden in the last episode. Unlike in the last episode, I won't solve all of them today. Instead, I will give you some clues and you can watch the last episode again and see if it helps you to find our references. Maybe I will give you the full answer at the end of the next episode. Or maybe not. There were only 3 Easter eggs hidden last time. You may have found the object, which actually is supposed to stand in a wildlands. If you are a child of the 90s, you probably remember some action movies of this decade. Interesting that Nicolas Cage played in every one of the 3 biggest action movies of this time a lead role. And all of these movies consists of just 2 words in the title, with only 1 vocal in each word. What does it mean? Anyway, the second and the third Easter egg are quotes from a movie with an impressive performance of John Malkovich, playing a virus. Thank you for watching. I would be happy if you join me next time when we will cover Antoine's Journal Chapter 2. My name is Alex Rice and I am a video game aficionado. Have a great night. Bye.